Okay. Welcome. Welcome to the new episode.
God,
of
I'm
I
so
Can't
glad
Believe
we did a new recording.
Look, I know I promised a lot of things. It's been like 2 months, but we have a new guest, so that's fun. Today, your hosts are me, Chim, Dev, Jules, and Rojo. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
It's me, Dev. I've been here all along, definitely.
And Rojo, you're new.
I've been here all along listening in the background.
Oh yeah, he's here. We just usually don't let him out of the basement.
Yeah, he's been in the basement for 2 months. And Jules?
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like... I don't know if you guys had this in kindergarten or preschool, but like nap time. It kind of sounds like 4 kindergartners just drowsily getting up, and then the teacher just shoved microphones into their faces and said, "Speak." That's what this sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I could.
My name is...
Just because I
Jules
woke up
and,
from nap time doesn't mean shit, alright? Look.
I could really go for an apple juice box right about now.
I really could.
Yeah.
Anyways, boys, what you been up to? How's life? It's been 2 months. What's going on?
You said it's been 2 months, right? I thought you said it's been too much.
It's been too much. This podcast is too much.
Nothing much. How about you? I got my, I moved, and I just set up. As a matter of fact, audience, I was setting up right until we hit record. So if my audio sounds botched this episode, I do not care.
Get fucked.
I don't care. Yeah. We love you.
we love
We
you.
love you so much. We want you to stay forever. We want this to be a
If you guys
codependent
really-
relationship.
If you guys really love the audience, you guys would record a podcast sooner than 2 months.
You know what?
And the guy who's given me the roasts and the gaffes is Rojo, who previously introduced himself. And I should mention this because I think this would be kind of funny. I brought on my roommate of 2 years from college.
3 years.
So, well, recently 2 years,
Yeah.
but there was a time, I think, on campus where we were together for a year. Yeah, like freshman year. or
Damn, on and
It's
off
not
again
fair.
relationship.
God
Yes.
damn.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of gross.
I don't know if that's healthy for you
How do
two.
you like that, man? Well, we're here. We're here now. And that's what matters. We're here at this kindergarten midday nappy time podcast episode, and we're all here sipping our juice boxes like a bunch of snot dribbling idiots. So I think it's
I think
high
that's a
time
great
that we bring
description
this
of us.
podcast back. Yeah.
You're right. I've been fucking having it this past fucking 2 months, dude.
Why don't you start? Because it sounds like you're in the middle of like drinking something.
He should be.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Look,
But I wanna.
but
Yeah,
I
why
would
not?
Really like to. Look, I made a lot of promises. I said, hey, who knows? So many great things are gonna happen. I'm gonna release my animation. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then within 85 recordings, I'm talking 85 individual motion capture recordings, my fucking suit broke. The hands, the gloves, and the whole ass suit just stopped. It started with like my hand being in constant T-pose, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. and then it just led to like the whole suit just not turning on. And then I had some I use a Rococo suit, and I contacted the people, and they're like, oh, that's not normal. So it got sent all the way to Denmark, and I was I was like you ever look at a person who like lives on top of a mountain, and you're like, oh, that guy's cool. Meanwhile, what's going through that guy's brain is just like pure white
Why
noise.
the fuck do I live on
Just
top of this mountain?
Exactly. It's just like, fuck, just nothing going through that brain. That was me, like aimless with all these goals in mind, and then just all of it stopping, just crushingly so. And then we had a whole ass hurricane come up. That was huge.
You should have used that
was
time to
crazy.
get good at fighting hurricanes.
I should have used that time to
And
get
how
good
the hell do you propose you do that?
I don't know. That was his
You
job.
go
to figure
outside
out,
and you
not
go-
me.
You go outside and you scream at the sky.
Every day you wake up and you spend an hour.
doing.
Every day you just spend an hour screaming at the sky.
No, you gotta level up those storm fighting abilities, Tim.
Yeah, honestly. Well, I will tell you
Or
what.
even better, just move out of the circle. Like you got to move into the zone if you want to avoid storm damage.
You know what? You guys want to talk about
gamer
fighting
moment.
clouds? You want to talk about fighting clouds? What about the biggest battle ever won? Fucking Stadia left. How about that?
Yeah, baby. Topic number 1. Why I like Stadia, but it's too late. You know, I gotta say, so Rojo and I, when we were we roomed together for the last couple of years of university, and we, with our internet, we got the choice of either a Hulu subscription or like what was it? It was
the Google
Stadia Premium.
No, it was the Chromecast Ultra and Stadium Premium for a limited amount of time.
And someone didn't want to watch the Animaniacs, so we got stuck with the Chromecast. And you know,
Wait, no,
I gotta say,
pause. How were we supposed to watch?
Okay.
How were we supposed to watch Hulu on a TV that didn't have a smart feature if we didn't have a Chromecast?
Yeah.
wait, hold on a second. Wouldn't it have just been like a Hulu, like Hulu on PC, right?
You
like
can
on
just
computer.
you can connect your computer to a
stream it
TV.
online.
You realize that, right?
Rojo, non-argument. This man was like, I would much rather play Cyberpunk 2077 on an unstable connection.
No, I would much rather play.
That was me, actually.
I would much rather play the demo version of Resident Evil Village.
Oh my, that's
where
what I wanted to talk about.
Which we
Yeah.
got to do on Stadia, and we got to see firsthand experience of mommy, please give me my milky for the first time on Stadia. So you're welcome.
Like, it's not enough that stilettos are pointy in real life. They have to be pointy in my video games as well.
It's true.
It worked really well though, and granted, we had a pretty decent internet connection, but I will be personally, I will be sad to see Stadia go in its entirety. I know some people, just generally speaking, were saying, hey, maybe this could be like a white label solution. Maybe other companies can pick up Stadia and like use it for their own whatever. I know that Bungie was using Stadia to like test builds of Destiny when they were all working from home. So stuff like that makes Stadia useful, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
When I heard
Yeah.
about Stadia initially, and I saw the specifically when nobody could play Cyberpunk on launch, specifically the PC shit, and then I saw how like people were performing on Stadia, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna inevitably get to a point where cloud-based shit is going to be the main thing. The problem obviously is, and you guys talked about it, is like bandwidth. It's just like, can your Wi-Fi handle this shit, and can you play it without losing like just complete immersion, let alone like what a lot of users faced, which is just getting yoinked off the thing. I mean,
It's so easy. You just
Shit,
gotta
there's
live
one
in a
person-
place with a good connection.
yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah,
Don't
and I
live-
recognize that
Don't live
Rohan and
on.
I were kind of fortunate to have that, but I get the feeling that the majority of people who were being very critical of Stadia were not in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that like we're not anywhere near the point in time where we can get like just a full, like even if it's a short game, like there's no way that you can get a perfect experience out of the box the same way that you could if you just owned it on Steam or a physical copy, because the connection will always ruin your immersion. That eerie feeling of like let's say if it's even like lag in inputs, say it's like a fighting game, it's impossible, you can't play it on there. So this was doomed to happen. And I mean, you guys, like specifically Jules, you called it like all the way back when they announced it, and people were like, well, this is gonna suck farts, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably on the money, but I just would like to remain hopeful, and there goes my hope.
but Chip, you forget to realize that when the Stadia came out, how easy was it to play any game on Steam if you didn't already have a PC, like a gaming PC? Because Stadia came out 2019, but it didn't get big. Like there weren't like exclusives until like 2020, and that was the year of COVID. the 30 series dropped and nobody was able to buy any series card. The
Yeah.
PS5 was more of a pipe dream. Jules just got a PS5, and
I just got one. Hell yeah. I need to update the about section of every single one of our episodes now because I put a reference in there about wanting a PS5.
Look, Jules, we have a section underneath, like you said in the about, where it just goes, and it is for any viewer that doesn't know, it goes Chim, Dev, Rojo, Soy Boy, and then when it gets to Jules, it should just say, I own a PS5. It doesn't link to fucking anything. It just says,
Just link to a picture of a middle finger. Yeah.
It says me own 5.
it's like me on PS5 and me play Radiohead Kid A experience.
No.
Oh, you fucked up, Jules. You brought somebody that knows everything.
I am okay. So in order, my favorite games on the PlayStation 5.
Nobody asked.
There's only 2. Well, I'm glad you asked because there's only 2. Sackboy: A Big Adventure and Radiohead Kid A Amnesia Experience or Exhibit, which is free.
The only two the only two exclusives. Well, no, Sackboy isn't even exclusive to the PS5.
No, and Kid A was on Epic on PC as well.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not an Xbox.
Epic.
So it's a console exclusive to PS5.
It's a console exclusive, right? And you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it motivated me to do my own music stuff. So, poo-poo, I say. I mean, like it was awesome. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like it.
He also waited 2 years to play something that I've played like 20 times over.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to download the Fortnite Battle Pass.
He didn't want to download more RAM.
No, actually, we'll talk about this a little bit later. But when we were developing, when we were sort of piloting a couple of game ideas on Unreal, I was, and I'll be honest, I still kind of am hesitant to download the Unreal launcher because in order to use Unreal Engine, you have to download the same launcher
Epic
that has
Games.
their
Epic Games.
storefront.
Yeah.
Epic Game Store. Like, you know, I'll do it because I have a machine that's built. Like, I say built, it's a fucking laptop. I have a machine that's dedicated for stuff that's not like critical information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
And
USB drives.
audience,
USB drives are your critical information storage.
What are you implying?
It's funny. So I'm so happy I brought Rojo on to just sandblast all my bad tech habits. So and Rojo, you don't know about this, but I'll tell you now. I just bought an actual legitimate backup SSD.
Let's go.
That's like
Oh my
weatherproof,
God.
waterproof,
I'm proud of
whatever. Thank you. Until then, and this is what Rojo's referring to, I had a shitty, flimsy,
Pink
like
Chinese
like-
knockoff USB.
that's the size of a quarter, and I could have easily lost, and somehow over the course of 5 years I have not lost it, and it has really critical stuff. Like when I was doing my internship for the animation firm, it had stuff from that, it had stuff for school that was critical to me graduating. And I had it all in this crappy little thumbstick.
Oh my god.
That's why they
because-
denied your graduation application.
Yeah. I mean, we could also keep talking about things that I didn't want to bring up. But, like, that's cool too. Like,
This is what you get for bringing your roommate on, man.
no, it's fun. It's fun.
Anyway.
it's banter.
You could have lost more though, Jules. I want
Stadia
to.
is
I want to take your. I want to take your fucking job as transition king.
Okay.
I really think that you could have lost more. I mean, you could have lost
Do tell.
more in this podcast.
You could. You know who is going to lose more? The guy who spent 6,000 hours.
Thanks
Oh,
for fucking
Red Dead
finishing my
Radio
sentence,
2.
asshole.
You didn't. That was
No,
what
we're
you were
still
doing.
talking about Stadia.
Yes.
This dude, Rojo, you go on.
Yeah, a dude spent close to 6,000 hours playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on Stadia. And Rockstar has yet to announce if they're gonna let him transfer over his character over to any other platform.
They better.
Which is
Okay, this
They
is
better.
This is via Games Radar. So the news story, and the guy he like
He tweeted.
he tweet begged. All right, he's like, no, you don't understand how seriously pissed off. This was after the news broke that Stadia would be shutting down. Verbatim, no, you don't understand how seriously pissed off I am. And then.
And then he decided to hack Rockstar and release GTA 6.
Oh my god, you think it's connected?
No. I don't get sued for slander.
Wait, did he also blow up that pipeline?
Gets sued for telling the truth.
No.
That was him.
It was all him. It's been him all along.
He also lit the fire on fucking Konami. That's why we saw the aerial
my
shots
God.
of the gas
my
fucking
God.
Oh my
leaking.
God.
I totally forgot about that.
This guy's almost as prolific as Sam Hyde.
Samuel Haidi. Yes.
Just fucking bring up Sam Hyde on this podcast out of nowhere.
That silence was all of us checking behind our shoulder. Yeah.
Is it you?
I'm looking at audience, if you're, and you guys as well, the site called Google Graveyard, which is just a comprehensive listing of every single project and venture that Google has killed off since, I think, forever. And Stadia is on there, sentenced to death. Yeah. Well, not even the most recent. It's the fourth most recent.
You mean since then they've killed off 3 more projects?
So, they decided to kill
it's-
YouTube.
Wait, hold on.
They decided to kill YouTube Red.
No, there are 4 more spots with each of our names on it, so I don't know what that means. So.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
No, it's ordered
We're
by
actually,
when the
PSYOP
decommission
agents
happens.
for Google.
Why do you think Soy Boy's not here? He's out here planning our assassination attempts
True.
right now.
Yeah. You always gotta have
What a
one
friend.
leech. And that's fucking
Wait.
Soy Boy.
Leech?
Yeah.
What could he have? What do we have that he could leech off of?
You're right, no.
what granule of quality is there for him to leech off of here? Show it to me. I'm looking.
Our podcast name that he came up with.
Dude, fuck this. My whole recording's just gonna be me coughing.
Oh my God.
All right. Well,
Sorry. Excuse me.
Are you okay? You dying? You need some more apple juice?
No, I
You need another juice box?
haven't had apple juice in a million years.
I gotta ask you boys. I'm still caught up on the whole cloud thing. Do you think that like I was just mentioning that I still feel like cloud gaming has a place. Obviously, bandwidth. It's the same conversation that everybody has, but bandwidth is obviously the issue. That it all comes down to, like, if you have poo-poo internet, it's not great, and if you have really amazing fucking gigabit internet,
Yeah, but if it was
still not amazing.
if it was just bandwidth, then it'd be fine because a lot of people have good bandwidth, but really bad latency.
latency. Yeah, sorry, my
But
bad.
look at the Nvidia Shield. That was really good, and then developers and publishers were like, actually, we don't want our games to be on because we want to make more money by selling them straight to the customer.
The the Shield. Specifically GeForce. What's it called? GeForce Now.
Yeah.
That tech. You want to talk about like an out of the box, just up and running solution? GeForce Now just straight up worked. Not to
It
mention that
just
if you
worked.
owned a game already, they gave you okay,
Todd.
They gave you streaming rights, I think, for free.
Yeah.
And a lot of publishers did not like that, so they pulled out of GeForce Now, which is insane to me because so far, in practice, that has been the most reliable streaming platform. My sister uses it to play Fortnite on her MacBook Air,
you didn't have
and
to.
it runs better than it does on a PlayStation 5.
You didn't have.
Not
to
that
admit
I've done that.
Are you admitting to your crime against humanity?
No, I didn't play. I didn't Fortnite.
I don't like that he's sweating.
You can hear
We
me
can
sweat.
hear it dripping down your forehead right now.
It's like, no,
you got a good mic.
I didn't buy the Rock expansion character DLC. Next topic.
Hold on, you have to buy that? I thought that was free. I mean, not that I would know anything about.
Oh my God.
Hey, look. The reason why I was asking is simply because, despite the fact that we are seeing over the course of history of big tech attempting to do gaming with cloud and it just failing over and over again, and regardless of how we feel about it, it's clearly not now. We're not at that point yet, and if how business goes about making money now, it's the whole point. Then wouldn't the obvious answer be open source? Yeah, but the money still has to, be generated for a company to handle all of that, their GPU usage or any of that shit. So, subscription service was the way, and that was the formula for all of these companies. It was like cheap gaming in a way, with all these access to different games, whether they were free or not. But the point I was trying to make is this: despite this constant failures, we're still seeing companies, with insane credibility in gaming like Valve, deciding that shit like the Steam Deck, like the next iteration of Steam Deck, to paraphrase what they said, unless something big really needs to change right now with the Steam Deck, the very next iteration of this console, whether it's a Steam Deck 2 or whatever, is supposed to be cloud-based.
Oh, jeez.
I don't get the idea. I almost caved in just recently with the Steam Deck. I really almost did, and it's because of there is Windows support. You can straight up just run. It runs on Linux, but you could run Windows on a Steam Deck. It's all the shit on Steam. No kidding, right? And it runs it for the most part perfectly. But it's the fact that it works with the emulator so well, where and there's because of how mainstream the thing is. I mean, everybody and their moms owns a Steam Deck nowadays. That
My mom doesn't.
Oh well, that sucks.
Sounds like a you problem.
that ruins.
Why haven't you gotten her one?
No, it's my mom. It's not me.
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean, he had
You
enough
guys-
money for a PS5 or Steam Deck, so
Yeah, you piece of shit.
he
I had enough money for
sacrifice.
rent or a PS5. Needless to say, it's raining outside and I'm very cold.
Get your mom a video game console, even though she doesn't fucking use one ever.
Have you guys seen the Logitech one, which is even more expensive than the Steam Deck and is completely cloud-based?
Let
with,
me.
like, no internal spec at all.
Did it release or is it planning to release?
I'll link it in the Discord. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You don't have to announce that. But fuck me. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna put some other
Oh
stuff.
my
in the Discord
god,
too,
the
just for you.
podcast uses Discord. Oh my god.
Is it the G Cloud? Is that the one?
I think
Yeah,
Does it
I've
look like
heard
a-
about that.
like a Switch, but like from some alternate.
But like
future where-
$400.
Is it $400?
Yeah, it's coming
Well,
out
there's
really,
the-
really soon. It's
there you
coming
go.
out in October 17th, which is like it's fucking.
Not if
really
I have
soon.
anything to say about it.
Dude, what? What are you gonna do? Wait, hold on.
Complain about it? Why?
Oh wait, no.
Don't worry,
oh,
don't worry
okay.
about it.
No, don't worry. Yeah.
That was
illegal.
a thinly veiled threat. Not because I actually was going to threaten anyone. I just wanted to see what would happen.
I will say.
No,
though,
it's
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just the idea of a perspective. Steam Deck 2 being cloud-based. Again, GeForce Now works really well, and if there's finally some understanding between all these different publishers and NVIDIA, where it's like, okay, we know you're going to put our game on your platform before you've done it, and we said yes, as opposed to, what NVIDIA does now, which is just making it available free for everyone, especially, well, free if you own the game already, and then publishers find out after. If they can work out that sort of business side, then they will be far and away the best platform for these, these new handheld streaming devices like the Steam Deck 2 and the Logitech Cloud.
Well, this fucking, as I'm looking at pictures of it, this looks way more comfier. I'm not going to say it's good because one, it didn't come out yet. I haven't seen anything about reviews. I'm not even going to endorse it in any way. But the controllers look infinitely better than fucking the Steam Deck. I'm going to be honest with you. The Steam Deck's controllers, I will say this, if you have normal sized hands, that's great. I got fucking gorilla grippers, so I got weird ass, my character doesn't look anything like me. I'm a fucking retard, but Jess shouldn't say that.
In completely unrelated news, Chim is banned from every zoo ever.
Fuck!
He goes in there and he grips those gorillas. That's why he said that specifically.
That's why I'm a gorilla
That's
gripper. I got the gorilla grip of 89.
No.
No. Okay.
grips gorillas like
These
you
controllers
shouldn't.
look way better. If any of you have
you guys remember the kid from Harambe who fell into the enclosure? That's Chip.
I grew up.
He grew up in Chip. He went into
Those
He was raised by
those super shitty
a
memes where it's
gorilla
like, this
in a
is
zoo.
him now, feel old yet. Yeah.
Oh.
The Steam Deck is 1.65 pounds.
What about for our metric folk?
7. It weighs
that's
7.
like 3 bags of fish and chips or something. I don't know. Point being, it's not like heavy per se, but it's just the footprint is big. It takes up a lot of space, and ergonomically, I think most people are saying it's fine. The Steam Deck, the current one that we have now, the Steam Deck.
Oh shit! It doesn't work for me, but I've heard a lot of people say they get used to it. The only thing that I hear consistently about people complaining about the Steam Deck, because I'm not a user, I don't want to say I am, is that there's trackpads on both sides underneath, and there's like some. It's not great. It's not amazing. That's the only thing I've really ever heard complain about. But other fucking big hand losers like me have said that they just don't work well with everything being, pushed up to the top right and top left corners. But as I'm looking at this G Cloud thing, it looks like literally like an Xbox 360 controller on wheels. Like it looks like
Chim. What would you do if like a celebrity who's known to have big hands, like, I don't know, LeBron James or like John Mayer or something, like they were in an ad for the next Steam Deck, and they said, like they're doing their thing, like Mayer's playing guitar, LeBron's playing basketball, like, I've been on the road and I'm, doing all this stuff, and I just haven't any time to sit down and play my games because there's just no game console that's big enough for my big schmeedy hands until now. And they pull out the Steam Deck, and it's the size of like a Mesopotamian stone tablet.
Jewel, did you also direct the Brie Larson Nintendo ads too?
Oh my god, don't remind me of those!
You want to know what I do?
What?
I'd come. I'd fucking nut. Are you kidding me? I've been waiting for a controller that the only thing that works with me right now is those Xbox 360 controllers. That's why I spent a stupid amount to get one.
I do not remember your hands being this big. What are you talking about?
What?
My hands are huge.
I believe you, but I just don't remember this.
Yeah, prove it.
Dude, send hand pics right now.
I'm afraid. Meanwhile, I send a hand pic, but it literally looks like a Gerber baby.
You're the full face of a Gerber baby.
I have real problems. Look, we've talked enough.
Can't
about
believe
hands
this is a
already.
real
We've talked enough
person.
About... You know what? I feel discriminated against. I want to see a Gerber baby that's at least like 6'3". It's like way oversized for no reason.
There's just Gerber adults. Dude.
You're right. I just
whole
want to see
brand,
LeBron James in a
what's it
fucking
called?
diaper.
Damn, I didn't know you were into that.
Whatever.
For another
with
time.
this. Whatever.
Green Giant, that canned food company? They
Yeah.
make like the vegetables. Yeah, that's what a Gerber baby grows up into, a Green Giant.
Cool.
Aren't Gerber babies blue?
Not when they grow up. They turn into a green... anyway.
They turn green.
Mm-hmm.
So, the consensus, at least two of us have played on the Stadia. Dev and Chim, did you guys ever even try it?
No.
I've tried. The only thing, you know what? It wasn't. The answer is no for me. But the closest thing I've come to with playing, like latency issues aside, is the fucking what's the Sony thing for Vita to the your
Remote
PlayStation Remote Play. I've had that, which is obviously not like it's not cloud based, right? Or is it? I mean,
No, it just works off your internet connection.
okay, it's just completely internet based. That was pretty good. I played a lot of Persona 5 Royal through it. Have I played anything? I think I've played. I've had to have tried it once, but I just didn't have good results because I've never had good internet. It's a fucking story of my life, dude.
That's fair. And again, that being the sort of crux of this, I feel like. I feel like I've heard that's kind of the thing with most people. It's like our internet.
It wouldn't work for me
really
because
good
I have
enough
the
to
I have
do
the
this.
bandwidth, but my latency is not great because I don't have fiber.
Which, granted, works for some games, but obviously, if you're getting a platform, you want the freedom to be able to play whatever piques your
Exactly.
interest, right? You don't want to be stuck with like just the narrative experiences where you don't need that kind of quick response.
You know that NVIDIA's trying to fix this latency issue. That's their main key point about this 40 series cars that they brought up.
On the hardware side, though,
Yeah, I've watched
That's
a couple
gonna
different.
cost like you $1,000 a piece.
Oh yeah.
At that point, just buy a
It's
What are you-
computer.
hear me out.
Yeah.
So the main selling point I've heard from this recent tech demo, like it's literally October 2nd right now for us, and with this kind of release and announcement and whatever specs have kind of been put out, the only real difference, the real main selling point that they had for this extremely short conference, which I believe is like what, 20 minutes long, is that it wasn't necessarily doubling anything from the 30 series, like graphics wise. What they had to point out was that they have they've they have a lot of shit that they're doing through AI, and they have their whole neural network system, the bunch of NVIDIA products, a bunch of NVIDIA shit. And one thing that they really focused on is trying to get their GPUs, their 4090 series GPUs, to go from 25 frames per second to 90 frames per second. But I want to say this though. There's two things that I want to say about this, just jump off there. We can talk more about it if you want to. Is why would the 4090 series ever have 25 frames per second? Why was that ever a selling point to begin with? Because nobody wants to go and buying this card knowing that their saving grace is going to be this like artificial like next frame assuming, and it's just kind of showing you what's going to happen next so that it can get you the proper frame rate. I don't know about that. I don't know why that was ever a selling point, because it's become a meme like all throughout YouTube that I've seen, like just across the internet is fucking just one huge meme, this 40 series. The second thing is, if they really were trying to listen to the consumer as much as they're saying, NVIDIA would release just the specs as they've been doing. They really haven't done much. I mean, it's almost as if they're trying to cover shit up. Like the recent specs that they've been releasing with this 40 series is kind of based around like, you know how like in the 30 series it was, and this is something Dev can actually jump on because we talked about this many times. It was kind of like they're trying to push this as a generational leap, right, guys? It's like 20 to 30 is more than double of a boost.
It's like big. This card's fast.
Especially when you compare the 2080 to 3090, this thing is massive. And they really tried to sell those 30 series, those upper 30 series cards, because only the 3090 had the their NVLink, their approach to SLIs and stuff. So there was that. But this 40 series, with the amount of information that they put up now, you really don't know. Like, it's called DLSS, right? You had DLSS off, RTX on, RTX off. You don't really know what you're looking at, because one, they didn't even release what card they were using to show the DLSS. So you're like, okay, the 40 series can do this. Which one? And then there's also some other shit
it's because
the
it's
watts
full of
usage.
Shit. A lot of this stuff is it's marketing. Some of it's driver things. It doesn't matter what card you're using.
Yeah,
like there's no they're not gonna like suddenly put a new structure into like a new physical like part of the chip that's in the 4090 but not in the 4080. That doesn't make sense for their manufacturing process. Like this, it's all just they build hardware that can interface with this driver code that they're working on, like all that DLSS stuff. That's all driver based.
If you guys look at NVIDIA's their website for sure, but even just their YouTube channel, my guess, I think the majority of their entire existence and what they do is focused around AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like cars, like even just DLSS, deep learning super sampling for games and other 3D stuff. That's just a really small fraction of what they're using AI for. Mm-hmm. Like I used to be subscribed to their YouTube channel, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, because I thought it would be like gaming news and like game industry content. None of it is. Like, there's stuff about cars, there's stuff about like, health sciences, what is it called? Like, like protein folding, along that kind of line of, using sort of simulations and artificial intelligence to sort of create diagnoses and sort of complex hypothetical scenarios. NVIDIA's, I would be shocked if they did what what Dev mentioned, like if they made a new component for the 5000 series, where it's like only the 5000 series can do this because we put this new component in there. I swear to God, the 5000 series is just going to be like the card is virtual. You will stream the card to your computer.
Well,
Yeah, with every copy of a 5000 series, your own brick GPU card will have a pen pal to a GPU all the way in California.
Cute.
the trick with
They'll message each other.
You're scribbling. You open up your case. Your like GPU sitting on its bed on its stomach with its like legs crossed up, like
Okay.
listening to 80s pop.
Okay, but picture
Writing a
this:
letter.
the movie Her, but replace Scarlett Johansson with a fucking Nvidia card. Joaquin Phoenix is just kissing and smiling at a little 5000 series.
No, you don't replace Scarlett Johansson. You replace Joaquin Phoenix with an Nvidia card.
Let's go.
Actually, if Hollywood's anything to go by, you replace Joaquin Phoenix with Scarlett Johansson.
No, so the way that
Look,
the way that like this whole sort of marketing push from Nvidia works though is because they've already got the gaming market. They're just producing, whatever they want basically because they know you're gonna buy their card. There's a certain number of people who are always gonna go for AMD, but a lot of the time Nvidia's just kind of been kicking their ass if you want that raw performance. And so what ends up happening is, well, how do they make more money? By marketing to completely unrelated things. If you want to make more money as NVIDIA, you don't try and squeeze that 10% from AMD. That's a waste of their time and resources. What you do is you go sell a whole bunch of new cards to people who aren't gaming. They're using them for other things.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's gonna be their biggest, like, what they're really gonna have to do with this 4000 series. I don't know much about this storage issue that a lot of people are talking about. I believe in it. I believe that's true. But now that crypto miners aren't there, what is the need for this like massive like 500 above MSRP? What is this? I don't get what Nvidia is trying to do, putting these cards at like $1,600 or something.
Was Nvidia selling them for that, or is it just that there are still that many people trying to buy them?
No, the 4000.
Oh, they're just their MSRPs are just stupid high. Because I wasn't entirely clear on that.
Yeah.
Well, they can't go back now. I mean, they made their money with the 3000 series. That if they lower their MSRPs, then their bottom line gets hurt.
Yeah.
Like they have to keep
well,
on.
Well, think about it this way: the only people who are buying a 4000 series card right now is the 3000 series price is tanked, and the market's being flooded with GPUs of the past few generations. The only people who are buying those cards are the people who want to flex and buy that brand new, better than everybody else GPU, so they can sell them for whatever price they want to. This is going to work for Nvidia for a little bit of bad PR for a little while, then they'll lower the price and they'll sell the same number of cards they would have sold.
I really dislike that. I mean, I know it's par for the course with anything ever, but like, no. The idea of using sort of the PR reception of your product as a tool to sort of like better your sales down, you know what I mean? Like purposely creating problems to then solve. I forget if there's a word for that, but it's...
Yeah, because they're going to start it out high, and then a bunch of people are going to buy them when it's like, NVIDIA slashed their prices. When they could have just released them at that before. I mean, I don't even really think they're doing this from the perspective of trying to manipulate PR. I think they're trying to just manipulate the early adopter tax.
Yeah, and it's not... like the early adopters don't know what they're doing. I was an early adopter for like it's 2 years since its release, but it's still early adoption. The Mac M1 stuff, because I'm shifting over it for my music stuff. And I don't know if you could tell from this recording, but I would really like to switch over to an insular platform with stable updates and whatnot. But like you know what to expect, I think. And NVIDIA knows that, of course. They've been in this business for a million years.
Yes, literally a million years.
They rendered the very first dinosaur. I don't know if you know this, but
with RTX on or off?
That was before RTX. They did that with BTX.
What part of
B
the
stands for bad.
Genesis? God said, "Let there be ray tracing." Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Though, what I was gonna say, I got lost. Oh, in terms of raising prices, PlayStation is doing that as well. Pretty much everywhere except for the United States, the price of the PlayStation 5 has increased.
Well, that's partly the dollar
and
going
it's
up.
not. Yeah, I think it differs from what you were saying because it's not like they're doing that for PR. The PS5's been out for 2 years already, which is crazy to think about. They're doing it because of inflation, and they're also doing it because demand is still so utterly massive. Yeah, when the PlayStation 5 first came out, I kind of didn't believe Jim Ryan saying, like, we just, this is the most that any of our consoles have ever sold. Like, we have never seen this demand before. But after, 2 years and some mulling it over and actually finally getting one, which might be the main reason, I can believe it. And with NVIDIA having maybe higher than reasonable prices for their 40 series cards, they're just meeting a demand that's been there since the start of the pandemic, right? Like, people were super frustrated that they couldn't get their hands on a 30 series cards. I mean, some of us included, right? And now that this next generation is dropping the same time as things are seemingly returning to normal, there are people out there who are still willing to pay inflated prices. I know that at one point, not even a couple months ago, I was one of them.
And you know what?
Willing to?
You know what?
Or just
Maybe
capitulating?
I'm being
I was willing to pay up to
I do think part of
600
it,
for a PS5.
I do think part of it probably is the fact that they're seeing this inflation happening, and they're realizing if we don't start raising our prices, how are we going to keep making more money? Because they're a big company that's, they've got these projections and shit that they need to meet. So, like, if you look at it from, like, an investment perspective, NVIDIA trades at a really high multiple, which is basically based on the fact that they are projecting and saying, we expect to make this much money next year and then this much more the year after. We've got all this new technology in the works. If they don't meet that, then their stock price will tank, because they are trading way higher than the money that they actually make would indicate.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I'm sorry. I know I'm thinking out loud a little bit.
No,
but
yeah, but I think that's a really good point.
Just this precedent of, I guess, what you said is a better way to describe it. I mean, they're projecting their worth, but they have yet to meet that line. And the odds are they'll probably do it, and especially with these increased prices, they will probably do it. But it's like,
especially with the market the way it is, they kind of need to, otherwise they're gonna get just obliterated.
I understand why the world works the way it does, but as a consumer of the world, I can still say it sucks. All right.
Well, that's what you get for
don't
being
worry.
a person instead of a company person.
And then don't worry, we'll do it. We'll do this conversation over again in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 2 years is a little late. I think try the PS5 mid-gen refresh.
The PS5 Slim?
Whatever they're going to call it, either next year or the year after.
Oh my god, the PS5 Slim.
The PS5
it's just going to be this. It's going to be the size of a normal console.
It's a spray painted PS2.
No,
I mean, that's
you know what?
Instead of
Alice
Kirby,
can play
it's gonna
Silent
be
Hill
straight.
2. No, they would never compromise. Are you kidding?
No, they're not. They're not going to bring back straight. You know how people think of straights these days?
Oh shit.
Weirdly top. Listen, Rojo.
Yeah.
You don't make the PS5 this curvy piece of, dare I say it, techno ass just to neg it 3 years after.
Excuse me, what you just say?
NEG. Negate.
You heard that too.
Anyway, like, they're sticking with this, and I would really love to see what a PS. I can't even imagine it. What a PS5 Slim looks like with this design language. Like, I don't know. Will it be able to sit on my desk without wobbling when I breathe? Probably not.
Hey, look. I'm not actually even
people
surprised
think it's
that,
underage because it's not curvy enough.
God damn it, Dave.
What the fuck? Look. I was just gonna make this one point. like most people don't know. A lot of people like myself come from consoles and they want to make the jump into fucking PCs for some reason because they can't get any access to a PS5, and that makes sense. And they try to get into a desktop. They don't want to buy anything pre-built because they've heard nothing but trash. Like they've heard nothing but bad news, so they're just steering clear of that. So they're getting their pieces and they're getting their parts, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're caught in this rat race of buying something new every year. And I don't want to talk about this like overall higher like big picture issue, which is like, you know, consuming the same shit every year, like whether it be because it's a big deal like a 20 to a 30, or you know, fucking 1,000 series to a 2,000 series. But why I mention this is I'm not, you know, I just want to convey this to the viewers, is that like the 20 series, like for getting the bang for your buck, you can get practically everything you want from it. Like an RTX 2080 Ti, for example, like the shit that I have, you can really get what you need. And on top of that, it's a nice little furnace for your room, because goddamn, does this thing make your room hotter. Like you don't really need a 30 series. But if you do, good on you. I'm also not surprised that there is such an uptick in emulation nowadays. Like to point it back to the Steam Deck, I've seen more people use this throughout the internet as like a perfect emulation device more than anything. Like just way across the board. And I think just getting tired of companies doing what they do, and just the market being what it is, of like a constant like, oh, you better beat the robots because they'll beat you, you know.
God, I mean,
or
I'm so
doing
glad you
what
brought that back up.
I was just gonna say, or doing what you do, Jules, which is dating way back to fucking Meg Ryan's You Got Mail and subscribing to a mail service till you get your 5th email saying, "Hey, we've been waiting for you to buy a PS5."
And that's annoying because that's the only way you can get it. That's the only way I got it at MSRP price, was just subscribing to Sony's mail list. And then, you know, the great thing about that mail list is it's not even a guarantee. And they say that it's not even in small print. It's in big print. They say, this is not a guarantee, but let us send you mail anyway. And I got it on my either my third or my 4th mail listing attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Fun.
It's just not a surprise at all. What I do hope, like, and I don't know if you, like, I was just talking to Rojo before this podcast. Like, he also emulated, and I definitely do a lot of emulation. I just happen to, like, get a lot of my games. Ooh, bet bigger than thou. No, I'm kidding.
Lose them too.
You're right.
Where's Silent Hill? Was it Silent Hill 2 again?
I lost my Silent Hill 3.
Was it 3?
I lost my
It was 3,
I
yeah.
still don't know. It disappeared in
lose
the
a game?
ether. Okay, look. I'm going to say this loud and I'm going to say this clear. I left to take a flight all the way up to the North America, way up there. And when I flew down, I couldn't find my fucking copy of Silent Hill 3. And to this day, I'm just fine with feeling like, hey, you know what? It's gone forever.
The next Silent Hill
disappeared.
game is going to be based off of Chim's sort of like mental state.
You play as my copy of the EU Silent Hill 3, just like walking around. Every enemy is just a different variation of my stupid face.
No, don't worry. Your Silent Hill 2 copy is going to be like that Chef Boyardee commercial where it's just going to magically roll back to you at some point. Just later.
With, like-
on the
Like really kitschy piano music underneath.
It's gonna roll back to me, but like this time, it's just on a completely different console. Silent Hill on the fucking Game Boy Advance. What kind of hell did you go through? Anyways.
It comes back to you as the Silent Hill 3 Beans Edition. Do you know what the Beans Edition is?
No!
It's when they open up the DVD case and they fill it full of Boston baked beans. Have you guys never seen this picture? It's a DVD case of either Spider-Man 2 or 3, the Sam Raimi ones, and it's just called Spider-Man Beans Edition. And the picture is just the DVD case full of Boston baked beans. I'm sorry if I gotta.
Beans fucking kills you every time.
It's his duck.
'Cause they're-
It's his duck.
They're really. Oh, but you have to explain that.
I don't think I'm
Rojo?
gonna.
I actually no. Let me do it because Rojo already embarrassed me at the start of this podcast. So Rojo and I were up like late one night. I don't know, whatever. I think we might have just finished recording an episode actually, and we were just browsing, your typical funny sites, and he came across this. He came across this pièce de résistance meme where it's like a fake
Chef's
ad.
kiss.
It's a fake ad, and it says, "This game will make you come in 30 seconds."
So in a millisecond.
In a millisecond, my bad.
Oh boy.
And it's got the Geometry Dash music underneath and a rotating 3D duck
With flippers.
with flippers, which is redundant for one, but that's his kryptonite. So that's the meme that if you show it to Rohu, he will break down. And I don't know why, but that's what he means. It's my duck. So the Spider-Man Beans edition is definitely up there. It's hilarious every time I see it. I'm looking for it right now.
What's our fucking Legend of Zelda Z target like weak point? The big eyeball. Well, there's Rojo's.
Oh my god, it's even better. It was the video game. So it's Spider-Man 3 Beans edition, and then in parentheses PS2. And oh my god, you know how some of those CD cases have like it might have just been for games, they have like the little square above the CD where you put like either like a manual, or if it was a DS case, it would have like the rumble pack there. That's also full of beans.
You can't have enough beans, dude.
It's really funny. Anyway, god, I want some beans now.
Well,
clever marketing.
we don't fucking own any stake in any beans.
You don't own any beans.
You don't own any beans? You fucking idiot. I bet you've never even seen a bean in your life.
But where do beans come from?
Shit, I don't know.
From the bean tree.
The bean tree.
Yeah.
Where do they grow those? Africa?
That's where we all came from. Presumably. I'm trying to be funny, but I'm going to hit you with some knowledge. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I believe it's a bean. I can't say that.
Is
Bean or bean?
is the genus
I was
Venus?
not going to say Beantown, USA.
Yeah, actually, the genus of the bean tree is Venus.
The Venus.
What's that picture? We're talking about memes now. That's an OG one. It's a picture of like that really shittily drawn walrus, and he says, "Haha."
It's not a walrus, I don't think. It's I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's like
It looks like a diglet.
Spurdo Spadre or something.
That's okay. I'll
Yeah.
look up that, whatever that is.
Old school.
Man.
Venus.
Well, babinis. Rojo, you linked something. I'd like to know what it is before I click on it.
Actually, wait. I thought I downloaded an image. It's not an
A
image.
JFIF?
What
Okay,
the
okay.
fuck
Hold
is
the fuck. What the
JFIF?
hell is a JFIF?
What file extension is that?
You guys don't know what a JFIF is?
JFIF?
No, you know what?
Just 6? Just 7? Come on, keep up.
You know what? Calm down. Just skip me for now.
This
Okay.
was the guy who created
We-
the GIF. His response to people mispronouncing his file extension.
It's not.
His response to that was to release the JFIF.
Oh my god. What was his official statement? Was it GIF?
No, he said it was GIF. But
Oh.
everyone,
But like as a
he
joke?
said it
or
was.
did he say it with like his fist clenched by his side?
He said that it was GIF, but the majority of people still say GIF and say "fuck you, death of the author." Cope.
Cope. Seethe.
Mauled.
Seethe and cry and rage.
Mauled is a new favorite word of mine. That means mad
Yes.
balding. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mad and bald.
Mad
I love
and balding.
Malding is I could only dream of reaching a point of like success where I can mauled on a Twitch stream.
Let's go. That's what
Yeah.
success looks like.
You may not
speaking
like it.
of
You may not like it, but this is
peak success.
peak male success. Malding on a Twitch stream.
This is peak male pattern baldness. What's your favorite pattern? Speaking of patterns, Midjourney AI.
Oh yeah.
Chim, you want to go over that? I know I dabbled in it, but I think it'd be a good way to tie into some video game development stuff.
Okay, sure. So there's a lot of different like approaches to this conversation. The most obvious being like, oh yeah, what the fuck is it? But I'm feeling like everybody knows what it is by now. It's simply just it's an AI generator. Nothing quite different than what we're used to. The difference being there's two main key points. One, it's actually weirdly good. Like weirdly good enough to win some art competitions, which is funny as shit because you got artists mauling at the fact that like people are actually using these like art generators like Midjourney to win fucking competitions, which is hilarious. The other thing is
that's huge.
It's a big deal. The other thing is that it's so accessible. It's on Discord. It's literally a Discord API. There you could purchase it the same way that I did. I'm so there should be a version for like stupid and balding, like stalding, scalding.
No, you can't just do this. It becomes a forced meme.
Boopid.
Boopid. I'm fucking boopid, dude. Look,
Boopid Beans Edition. Yeah.
Look. Really, honestly, the gist of it is it's accessible to everybody. You could buy it for there's like different tiers you can buy it for if you want access to more than just like however many times each month to use it. I bought it so that I could keep testing around and messing around more so with like asset stuff. There's a lot of uses for it, and the fact that it's one huge AI generator is, there's a lot of different approaches to what you can use it for. I happen to use it to like create assets, but I've since switched to a direct AI Blender plugin. There's literally a fucking plugin that works just about the same as Midjourney through like 3D softwares like Blender, where you just type in what you want. Bricks, okay, there's bricks, and then you check in different key things like, oh, do you want to be seamless? Do you want this? Do you want that? Bake it with other maps, and boom, you have something that you completely own. And the other more complex approach, which I guess deals with like law and ethics, is fucking, do you even own it if it's just a collection of like one massive neural network of different images all spliced together to make something quote unquote new.
But does your plugin let you generate
They
dicks?
should.
No.
Well, I'm sure that's part
So
of
it's
it.
censored like
Search,
Dolly?
right?
It's
They
all
should
censored.
just
It's all
classify
censored. Yeah.
any kind of art. And so I forget where it was, but we're all talking about the same. When you referenced it, the competition where that dude won. A couple of things that often get left out of that news story, which Chim, I'm sure you're already aware of. One, he submitted his work in the electronic / like graphic art category. Two, he made it very clear that he used AI generation in his sort of proposal / whatever piece of paper it is he submitted along with his art piece. And three, like at the end of the day, if there's going to be like an art competition, where there's no categories, it's just kind of like, a topic, then treat AI art the same way you would treat a collage. Like if you see AI, well, ideally you would know that it's AI generated. And for anything to do with rights management, treat it the same way you would with a collage. Like if it's, if the work is transformative, right? That's kind of the obvious starting off point. Then it should be good. If I can clearly see Michelangelo's like Sistine Chapel in there, but you're not like doing something with it, you're literally just depicting painting on the top of a chapel using AI art, and it pulls that off from online rather, then that's not great. But if you're, let's say, designing you're doing like an art piece where it's like a tattoo or something, and it's like, someone's back and this cool tattoo on it, and it happens to pull part of the Sistine Chapel, but it turns it into something else, and it like combines it with a giraffe or something in the Spider-Man 2 Beans edition, then that should be fun.
And
That's
another thing,
totally
I mean-
to keep in mind with these, if you want to get high quality art out of an AI right now, you don't just click random until you find something you like. What you do is you get it to generate something, and then you start refining that, and you start tweaking it and tweaking it.
That's what this guy.
Exactly.
That's what he did.
And that there's
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the same as like doing it by hand, but there is something to that. It's not like you're just telling a program, "Hey, do this for me and do it right." No, it's
a new
That's
medium.
exactly what it is. And I think it's frankly
learning-
it's dismissing all the work that went into making that possible to just say like, "Oh, it's fake, it's not real, it shouldn't be acknowledged."
I mean,
Right.
in most art forms, like especially like what was the artist where he took the Mona Lisa, drew a mustache on her, and then just like wrote some words in the bottom, and then he also did
Was
the
that- Duchamp?
yeah, Duchamp. So like
Yeah.
with that sort of art where it's like you're taking somebody else's artwork and you're trying to either make commentary or like, you know, do bare minimum changes to it. The threshold I have with calling something like original art is having a deft hand of making enough changes to make it your own. So like if like for AI generated art, like Chim said, if you're refining it to a point where like only you could have made that piece through the hours or the many attempts that you like kept on refining the AI to make this piece
Mhm.
is evident, then it's okay. But if it's like you're like if I just put a big booba gotcha waifu into uh whatever program and the first image it spits out I claim as my own, I don't think that's very much.
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
not an
if
artist.
all you're doing is
Well, at
taking
the-
something that just immediately got spit out of it, like if you don't own it, who owns it?
It's kind of hard to track down that
Because
original image.
it's not
after it's been,
going,
like,
it's not
contorted.
taking something from an original image directly. It is basically an algorithm that generates something by finding patterns in all the stuff that it's absorbed and then just running through those patterns again. It's like if I go look at 100 pieces of art and I copy each one and then I try and do something similar that's different, I'm not going to get called a plagiarist because I did something different for that 101st piece, even though the first 100 I just copied and I learned the style.
Do you think that the way that we're training AI now, they're going to inherit the same kind of pattern recognition spirituality that humans have?
I don't know.
Where like a thousand years from now, some robot's going to be walking out of his house, right? And he's going to see a black cat and go like, "Oh no, today's going to be a bad day." Or like he's, just things that aren't
That
necessarily
depends on how we
logical,
do it.
but they're going to
I think we totally could do that if we
they're
wanted to.
gonna we're gonna we're gonna inject every single AI
Let's make all AI religious.
with what's like superstition.
I honestly, it's the other factor that comes into play when you think about copyright and ownership is like what Dev was saying. You could just like, I mean, and it's Rojo too. It's like you could just iterate and iterate and iterate, and then at the end of the day, you can also make it into a photo collage, and you have something that's totally, you can guarantee with every fiber of your being it's new because you basically matte painted your way into something new using these different
Exactly.
assets that you
Exactly.
generated. But at the same time, you could totally just generate from a text and it's yours 100% because it algorithmically it is something brand
Well,
new.
I think
Just the one time.
one important thing to keep in mind here is I think that AI kind of does throw a big problem into our system of copyright because copyright is based on the fact that if you were the person to create this, then you deserve to have ownership of it, right? But what if the majority of things being created are being created by all like the same handful of things, and why do we decide that you get to have ownership of that? Why isn't it just that you're the person who created it, but like, I mean, I feel like you could genuinely make an argument that like nobody should have ownership of this. and it should just be free use for anyone.
And that's something that a lot of people are stating. And the answer for, like, to go back to Midjourney specifically, the answer is, well, do you own a tier? If you don't own something from the company, like if you're not paying a subscription service, you don't own anything that you're putting out there.
I just don't like
can't monetize
like
it.
I think we need copyright for small creators, but I think that the system needs to be completely overhauled because it just simply, I don't think it's going to work in the future. It already doesn't work.
Yeah, it already
think,
doesn't work because like AI is something that we always feel like, and it's always been this way. Like since the 90s, we thought of this was going to be this massive monolith, like fucking Skynet, basically. But in reality, it's just something that is going to mess with our system. Like
Absolutely.
you're saying, it's we have nothing in place to prevent it, like copyright wise. We have nothing in place to really do it. So we're running off of policy and just policy and law that have no basis, like even relatively talking about it. So you can just like use somebody's face right now and it's totally yours.
Well, okay, how about this? What happens? What happens when a company releases this really amazing advanced AI product that can basically spit out with limited iteration almost exactly what you want, and then they say, "Hey, we're going to let this be free for everybody to use, but we own everything and we just give you a license to use it."
That's already kind of what it is, though.
I don't think that should be allowed because that's just not in anybody's benefit except for the giant company.
No. Nobody's best interest, not at all. But it's I mean, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of it too. So many companies are doing that and their business models are not exactly like that. You do own what you own, but they don't guarantee anything.
Yeah, well, it's just
That's
a
the
matter of
thing.
time until a company tries to abuse the legal system.
I think
It's just a
lot
matter of time.
Yeah, a lot of the conversation with AI art generation is also revolving around the output of these generators. And I feel like a possible solution, maybe this has already been discussed, is to have a new Midjourney, like a new company, because at this point a pre-existing one might not be able to make this transition, is to control the input. Have a company that has this AI algorithmic process, but it only pulls from like a curated library of royalty-free images.
Yeah, but then someone's just going to do something like Stable Diffusion, where you can just train it yourself if you want.
Yeah, and then if you force it to only use royalty-free images, aren't you also limiting the art that?
Yes, you are.
Well,
Yeah.
there are, again, that would be the compromise. But if you're, let's say that you're using it to, I don't know, create a texture for your game, where maybe you don't need it to be this endless field of imagination. You just kind of need something quick that you can maybe edit, or that you can just leave as is. So
I
just
mean-
like smaller tasks to fill in the gaps of a larger project.
We can, like, I can jump in with like the nitty gritty and shit. Like for me, I use it where if I know I want to use it for something like I mean, we can jump into this later, but like game development or something for what we do with our projects or my own personal projects, I Midjourney specifically has different codes, and if you just read through their documentation, you just simply specify, hey, you're going to this art generator, hey, I have an image, I'm just going to put this through Discord, I'm going to send you this image right here, okay, I'm going to copy the link of this image and I'm going to put it through this kind of line of code that's a bunch of different words and a bunch of different, you know, like it could be, okay, it's this exact image and I want you to spit out this exact image. It can kind of do that, and it won't be perfect, but it will be the image you input into the bot, and then it will that it'll just shit after you input it. You can make it do anything. You can even specify the weights of it being close to that image or further away from that image, so that it's completely different. If you have a bunch of polka dots, but you say that these polka dots are roses, if it's closer to the image, it's not going to be that. So you can do it in a way where you can specify this generator to only understand your one image and just go from there, and there's your clearance, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to say that that that's for like game dev shit. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that or whatnot.
We can, but before we do, I think Dev actually
I
has to head out
do,
just a little bit
yes.
earlier.
Feel free to
Yeah.
continue without me, but that'll be it for me.
Solid.
We're just gonna sit
Let's
here in
go.
silence after you tip.
All right.
Yeah, we're
All
not
right.
gonna see man.
Catch you around,
Ciao.
Dev.
Yeah.
In regards to video game development, so there's this dude who there's this dude called Thomas Brush. He's the creator of two games, Pinstripe and Neversong. They're both available on Steam and various other platforms, but he also runs a YouTube channel. And he's currently I hop in every now and then. Sometimes he does live streams, and I saw him use this tool to create what are they called? Normal map, bump map for texture, not
Yep.
texture. Literal like 3D definition.
Normal maps, yeah.
Normal maps, and he was creating them. I don't know if it was AI or if it was just some like 10-year-old Adobe Photoshop process, but instead of manually authoring it, he would just go in, click on whatever it was, if it was a plugin or something, and he would say, figure out the normal map, and it would figure it out. And that's the kind of stuff where AI is like, it's the midwife to your creation. It's not creating the thing that you're going to make money off of. You're using it as a tool amongst multiple other tools. And that's the current sort of status quo where no one has a problem with AI. People are like, that is exactly what AI should be used for, and like I have nothing bad to say about that. But the moment you start letting the AI become almost, I mean, I hate to get all artsy fartsy, but like spiritually involved in the creation, like it breathes because of the AI. Your creation has life in it. It has meaning. That's when people get up in arms about it, and I can't help but compare it to music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sampling, hip hop, but really just anything. And from that, what this reminds me of is the difference between like music and the art world, specifically like the high art world, not like normal people having fun, like people who are allegedly laundering money. With like a music jam session, you have people come together. You have maybe someone's sampling something, sure, but it's like a beat, right? You have these beat makers who are jamming out. Some of them live stream even on YouTube. They make their stuff in real time. And they're like, yeah, this is cool. And then I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And the people in the audience are like, oh, that's cool. I love this vibe. Or like, how do you do this? Or how do you do this? Or I love where you're taking this. Or like, I hate this vibe. But it's honest, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one picture I saw on one of those funny meme sites was a drawing of some dude like head in hands with like a bottle of scotch at the table, and he's got these wide eyes because he's just realized some truth. And the text is, millionaire makes what was it? I might butcher this. Millionaire makes $20 million. Have an art friend paint a single white slash across a blank canvas. Take that canvas to a friend who's also an art appraiser. Get it appraised for $20 million. Donate the piece to a museum who's also run by friends of the millionaire. They take it and it's a $20 million tax write-off. and those are the people who are maybe not those people, but the people like one tier of snobbery below that are the people who are getting upset over, oh, AI this, AI that. Listen, man, I've had to deal with AI encroaching on my space, not the site MySpace, but like my industry, like sound, right? AI mastering is totally a thing. And sometimes, I would say majority of the time, it sucks. But sometimes, especially with like more lo-fi sort of quick beat tracks, it just works. Like if you're just trying to make something to submit to, what's that channel? Chilled Cow Lo-Fi Streams.
Yes.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it's sort of supplanting jobs, and we kind of have to.
It's a huge concern. It's a huge concern amongst everybody, and we keep talking about Midjourney, and I'm a user, so I know it's become such a heated discussion amongst everybody in the digital arts community about like what it could be used for, and even regardless of intention, it is just a job killer. there's so many things, and if we just relate it to game deving specifically, like we talked about texture maps when they started being procedural, like when things started just going straight to code, straight to things like Houdini, different softwares, it just became like this big thing, like, oh shit, we're out of a job, nothing can be handmade, but things are still handmade, they're just for different purposes.
It's
like
kind
you'll
of
still
the
have
Uncanny
games.
Valley, isn't it? Where
What?
people like, you can have the most incredible CGI, but people still know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
just
like,
just depends.
it's
Yeah.
with any art form, like people
Depends on
will
what it
know when like there is no human hand to it. Like for instance, in my expertise of artistry, yours being sound and Jim's being like just like character design and that sort of thing. I come from a photography space that like the use of AI in photography is mostly due to like what people think of Photoshop is like image altering and like making people look skinnier and like removing blemishes and that sort of stuff. If you just do a blanket like, okay, I want all the acne out of like, or like I want this person to look flawless, it'll look so fake and everybody's going to be able to like suss you out. Versus if you go in like as an artist and like manually do those things with the help of AI, but just like brush strokes of the things of AI-ness is what I consider whenever I do edits for my photos. Like the AI will still do its algorithm to like reduce like blemishes and
Noise.
Yeah.
reduce noise and that sort of thing. But like in moderation, it'll look natural and like that's like the great yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
there's
you
a
go for it.
tangent off of that. Just super brief. I won't turn this into a topic, but the people who can't tell those kinds of differences with photography specifically are hormonal teenage boys and girls, and that leads to all sorts of mental issues.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm
We will not demonetized. We were never demonetized.
like body dysmorphia and all that. Like you're constantly as I mean, you don't have to be hormonal, but like as someone who's still developing mentally, right? You're exposed to all sorts of unrealistic expectations, like genuinely
Mom,
unrealistic expectations.
the AI
and
are
that can-
creating hard times. Mom.
Nah, we are the weak men creating hard times. Oh yeah. I just pointing that out, which it's like it's a directly negative, impactful thing that is immediately, I mean, sure, potentially dangerous, but just like not terrific as a blanket statement. Like that's not a great sort of present to be growing up in. Granted, that's not every single teenage boy and girl. That's just some, but even some. It's just pointing that out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Honestly,
Sorry,
same.
I know it was a little left field.
That's all good, man. No, I was just making a funny out of it.
Funny, Chim put up in our. We're gonna be referencing our Discord a lot this episode. Chim put up a picture of was it an AI generated picture?
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Discord?
that's something you just brought together. There's I was just gonna make a point earlier that we're coming to a point with AI, even in writing. I'm so scared. Right now, art and AI, it's not perfect, but shit is coming out amazing. I just posted something, as Jules mentioned, on the Discord. Like, with just a couple words, you have something really amazing. And if you add in tags like ArtStation or Painterly or something, unless you get down into the weeds of it, like really zoom in, it'll like it's hard. Like then you'll see where's the blemishes, where's this that clearly is made by a robot's hand and not by a human's. I'm so sick of you. No. I'm done with this. I'm done hiding behind this lie. I'm going to tell my truth on this podcast throughout this whole episode during our discussions, because we've been so technical. I want you to come out. I want to come out and fucking say it. Which one of you has been posting beans in my Discord chat?
So usually the problem with podcasts referencing like their own group chats is that, the audience can't see it. Audience, you don't need to see anything. All you need to know is that it's just been
they're posting beans.
We've been bean posting.
Sick of it. Sick of it.
You're not missing anything.
Missing everything. Look, I don't have a transition for this topic. I was gonna jump from AI to assets to whatever. I just really
They both
wanted to
begin
talk
with an
about-
A.
You know what doesn't? G for game development fucking shit, you know?
You know what comes after A though? B for beans.
B for blender, which you can also use to simulate beans down to its atomic level and have your computer crash.
The very first speaking of this ties it together very nicely as a tangent, of course. The very first like hyper realistic model in Dreams, the PlayStation game, was an English breakfast, and the most hyper realistic part of that English breakfast were the beans.
The beans.
Those beans were rendered in 3D. Rojo, I showed it to you before. You can look at.
Yeah, I remember the beans.
I
that was the
remember
future
the
right there.
beans. They should add that to MGS5 in case they ever update it. Like, you know that scene where Venom Snake dips his hand into all the ashes of the soldiers that fucking died? He should just dip his hand into a pot of beans that are crushed together and you just see brown spots all over his face. Don't let your beans scatter into the heartless sea.
Okay,
Don't
hold
let
on.
Don't let your beans be dreams.
That whole game was mocapped, right? MGS5?
No, they used their. That was the first game they ever
Traditional?
used. No. Every single animation was animated by feet because they were all fetishists over there in Japan.
Well,
I'm feeling a little
just like to
sassy
imagine-
today.
I'd like to imagine that there was a mocap outtake where it's when Big Boss he's got the ashes after the infection, after he had to kill all of his like fellow soldiers. There's got to be an outtake where the dude just licks his fingers. just one.
Find out. just to let the sea know it's chill, it's fine. It's like trying to eat a treat in front of a dog. Like, hey, it's good. You just kind of eat it a little bit and then give it to him. A little piece of ham, it's fine.
No, but I like
it's good.
He's facing the ocean, right? And they're like all of his men are saluting, and he's in front of all of them. So it'd be funny if he was just snarfing on the ashes. And Ocelot says, "What the hell are you doing, boss?" And he just turns around with his fingers still in his mouth.
Okay, imagine Venom Snake, and just imagine Venom Snake, but the helicopter shrapnel on his forehead is just a big bean.
It's a jelly bean.
And it grows throughout the game.
It changes flavor from a bad flavor to a good flavor depending on what you do in the game. And at the end of the game, he eats it.
No, he opens it up and there's a cassette tape, and that's when it reveals he's not. That reveals the ending of the game.
Instead of David Bowie, it's like, I don't know, it's like a kid's
The man
block
who sold the
between-
bean. It took us a while, but we're finally here. We've gotten to the bean portion of the podcast.
You think David Bowie's next character would have been like bean related? Ziggy Bean Dust.
Ziki. Notorious Bean IG. Why are beans so fucking funny, dude? It's because they look like little stupid assholes. Just
Whoa, okay, now we're getting
Okay.
violent.
Okay.
Man doesn't like beans. What'd they do to you, huh?
I hate beans. I hate it.
Fuck beans. All my homies hate beans.
I get my proteins the other way.
Me at 2 a.m. looking for beans.
That will remain a classic meme. You can put that over anything.
I like the Cars Beans meme.
That's a new one. I'm just gonna search it up.
No. It's the one where he goes into the movie theater and then he says,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
little boy is like, he goes,
Yeah,
Mommy,
yeah.
he's eating
Nope.
beans.
This boy's eating beans. So, still on the topic of game development,
Beans.
audience, you may be wondering where this podcast has been for 2 whole goddamn months. And let me tell you, we did some after the first month, which was spent looking for beans. The second month, we did some God's honest game development. And long story short, we're still working on it, but we kind of had to restructure how we're doing it. Currently working on movement. But so far, I think it's going well. I was, out of our core development team, which is Chim, Soyboy, and myself, I was the last one to learn any kind of coding or actual in-engine work for either Unreal or Unity. So I've caught up. I know the basics now. And yeah, I built a playable sort of thing.
Nice.
Like a little test build. These guys already know. But just
Is there
for
anything
sharing's sake.
past what you showed to us with the kind of like the main beginning of the level?
In terms of assets, yeah.
Like the gray box.
And in terms of, so the gray box is what it is. The primary changes. So every time I upload a new build, it's to do with movement. The actual environment doesn't matter. Half those assets are placeholder, or they are literally stock photos. The movement is everything. So most recently, when my family got back from our trip, or maybe it was before we left, we went out, but before we left, I implemented a variable height jump. So depending on how long you press the button, the character will jump a certain height. And I have a sort of early idea of how to do that. There are a couple, much like, and I see this as a pattern, much like every single facet of game development, there are a couple of ways you can tackle the problem. So I have, it's cool, like thinking about it. There are 2 ways you can think about variable height for your jump. You can think about it like one way, where your default jump height is the minimum height, but for tapping the jump button. But if you press and hold the jump button, it adds to that value. Or what you can do is define a maximum jump height value. And if you just quickly tap the jump button, what it does is, instead of adding a force, it will subtract a force. Hopefully this makes even an ounce of sense, but we're doing the second one just because it's easier to define a max jump height and work with that in terms of level design than to account for any like an infinite number of heights above. This is getting more confusing when I'm explaining it. Point being, we have a multi-height jump system in place, and I am currently looking at making it less confusing. If it wasn't already apparent as to how confusing it is right now.
Solid.
But yeah, even more generally speaking, we've actually been making this thing that we said we're gonna do, and there's been some, again, restructuring. I know Chim is he's currently tied down. You're here. I can speak to you directly. You're currently tied down with a bunch of other stuff, so I don't want to.
I can jump
rail
on
you too hard with
No,
I need you to do this and this and this. Yeah,
so,
sure. Okay.
I said it right at the beginning of the podcast on that funny haha joke. But yeah, I really did lose my motion capture suit for like several months. So whatever personal project I was on, it was all replaced with school. I'm full time again. And I ended up jumping around, and the audience doesn't know this. I don't remember if I ever talked about this, but we have these projects set in place right now, and I can talk from my perspective just now. We have our main game, which we're working on, and this is definitely going to be our first release. Like game wise, in the grand scheme of things, it's a Lentinula for now, like TM. It's his name.
We actually haven't said anything
you guys have a
about the
name?
game. Yeah.
I didn't know. Wow.
I'm here to leak shit, by the way.
he is the GTA 6 leaker.
Yeah,
No,
I'm not. No.
Chim, we haven't said anything about the game, just that we're making it. So if you want, you can give a brief synopsis.
No.
Okay.
Anyways, the next project.
He doesn't want to leak too much.
Yeah.
No, it's because all I really plan on doing at the moment, like literally right now, as I'm finding time throughout the day, it's such a weird thing, and I can talk about that because I think all of us are trying to figure that out, which is like you have your regular day shit that you have to do, being a human being, right? And then finding time at the end of the day or at the beginning to like make progress even a bit into your bigger projects or practicing on shit.
Yeah.
Like we can talk about that later, but like for me right now, the big scheme of things is the Lentinula game. What I plan on doing is making a, I know we're focusing on animation and I won't like jump in on it just yet, but I want to continue
Even
doing
earlier movement, just movement.
Foreground, middle ground, and background. I'm fucking sick of the beans memes. Like, foreground, middle ground, and background drawings just in pencil, like digitally. I mean, and then like just running with that, seeing if we want to use it, or because we can always just add in assets on top of those like flat drawings and give it depth with the different background passes. So that's just one thing I'm doing right now for the Lentinula game. Jules is really on that game.
I will say this very plainly, and this is not a knock. This is just the reality of the game development situation that we find ourselves in. I have created the entire build myself.
Yeah.
And it's not because Chim didn't want it. It's not because Soyboy didn't want it. It's because these guys literally are not available right now.
Yeah.
So I've done it myself, and again, they're just being transparent in case anyone else wants to make a game with their friends while some of us are still in college. Like, the reality of the situation is you're going to find out that you'll be doing a lot more work than you thought. All of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. I really just want to do an over, like a big game map thing with foreground, middle ground, and background assets, and just doing that all through like pencils and something really simple so that we can just mix and match them when we want to, when we bring it into Unity. Other things is I have about half, I'm proud to say it actually, I'm about like 60% done with my Catherine animation, like mocapping everything and bringing it into my computer. Recently there was a big ol', weather scare, and that's putting it like lightly. So I just invested in some like cloud shit, and if anybody uses Blender, you know that the pain of like, maybe there's an automatic way and I'm just dumb, but like the pain of going through each and every single file you have, and then how would I choose this word to people who don't know? It's like saving every single file, every single texture, every single animation, anything that would be used externally. Like if you have a folder full of textures, it's obviously not going to be saved into your Blender file. So if you just send your Blender file to somewhere, it's just going to be pink textures. So impending, how would I put it? I don't know. Like basically it saves everything into the file and just putting that through the cloud just in case my fucking computer gets wiped. It's that, and I have a really I had a concept. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before. I'll just talk about it really, really briefly. I had a concept as early as I'd have to say about a year ago, where I wanted to make something, and I've always wanted to make something along the lines of like Octopath Traveler. It's such a huge game, and it's wicked, and whenever you try to make like
fantastic story.
It's great stuff. I played the demo and no, I mean there is one character that I realized I've given Octopath Traveler within like our friend group a really big knock because it's
classic Square Enix writing.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like go to here, go to there. But there is a storyline that I consistently have liked all the way, but it's so like it just makes me feel like every other story in that game is not amazing just compared to this one where you're playing as this dancer and she is basically getting pimped out by this one guy that like houses her so that she can get revenge for her murdered father. And it's so like I just kind of want to say it's Yoko Taro-esque, but I feel like that just makes me feel like any JRPG that's dark is like Yoko Taro-esque. I mean, that's his footprint, dude. Like, that is a huge footprint to have. No, it's sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. I've always like admired Octopath Traveler, the gameplay of like having, these like classic JRPG 2D sprites walking around in the Z-axis, basically just in the 3D setting. But the thing that I didn't have, and I talked about this with Jules before, is I didn't have the experience growing up with JRPGs. The closest thing I had was not even that long ago, since I was like in high school playing Persona, which isn't classic. It's just a JRPG. It's just a well-known one. So lately I've been playing real classics like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI.
Mario and Luigi partners in time.
Yeah, Luigi's
yeah.
big,
No,
big
Paper
gay
Mario.
escapade.
Hey, Paper Mario is a classic though.
But that surprises me very deeply that you have not like gone into like retro JRPGs, like the baseline of JRPGs, like the games you just said, because like, I know how big of a fan you are of Persona and like Atlas sort of games. So,
I'm
yeah.
more surprised that you haven't heard of Wario's Wobble Wobble Gobble Gobble.
Can't say I have. Did it come with beans in the case?
Fuck. Dude, I love JRPG bean support. Anyways, yeah, you're on the money. I haven't. It's just because I didn't grow up with them, and I was always concerned about like things aging and not aging well, and I don't want to come out and say it because I'm gonna get a lot of shit for it in case anybody like cares or whatever. But like, I'm not a huge fan of playing a lot of these older games, so I'm just kind of watching them. But the ones that I have stuck around to play all the way through is Chrono Trigger, and so far Final Fantasy VI. But I don't know. I've been teetering off, and I've just been watching through YouTube videos because I realize I'm not good, and it's this there's a couple different things that just kind of throw me off from exactly what I want to get out of it, which is the story, and it's all just narrative based and just enjoying the visuals. So things like, random battle encounters and, old style game design, it just doesn't work perfect for me to get what I want out of it. So it's not a knock on it. I still say everybody should get those like pixel remasters or whatever, but I'm just watching through YouTube. Yeah. So the whole point of this, and I'll end my tangent here, is I don't feel like because I haven't played them, I feel like jumping into something that is like so based around these sprites and this kind of gameplay, not playing them would be, like it would just be kind of like making something without even knowing what it is. It's weird. It's like trying to be a chef, but you don't know what fucking mac and cheese is, So like, I started playing them, really enjoyed them, and the difference is for this game though, this personal project, is their visuals like that, but it's not. It's what is it called? It's not Pokemon style. You're not turn based. You play shit kind of like a Hyper Light Drifter, if you will. It's very action combat based, and it's right in your face. You can't avoid it. So I've just been writing. I've been doing some writing, and I'm really happy that that's kind of like my outlet in this stupid busy life that is like not doing art full time.
Yeah, that's, and we've mentioned writing before. I think it's the facet where for game development, it's the one facet where the three of us, Rojo, I don't know if you feel this way as well in regards to just creating stuff, where it's like, you really know what you like, but even with that, you're not quite sure what you like about a good written story, whether it's for like a video or like what was a great example, the YouTuber Internet Historian. He just dropped a video about Floyd Collins, who got trapped in a cave. I
just saw that last night.
And the story itself was already, a total nail biter. It took over, and yes, the information I'm telling you is partially because I watched the video. Yeah, it took over the entire nation, right? But Internet Historian himself paces it in such a deliberate way, and he uses the sort of, his subscribers' sort of preconceptions about like, oh, I know how an Internet Historian video is going to go down. And he kind of plays with that because it's not typically funny in the way that his videos are, but there are still moments of humor in it that are just as funny as his previous videos. And it's just the idea of so, you know, like you have your big break, right? You write your first great big novel, and then people kind of expect stuff out of you. Or for anything really, you make your first big game, now people expect stuff out of you. And like this is just part of writing, like taking expectations, whether they're of you or of the genre that you're writing in, and kind of just playing with them, like sort of gently contorting them and twisting them and taking the viewer on a ride. That's I think that's something that I personally appreciate. I don't know, Chim, if that's present in the story about the dancer in Octopath Traveler, where there's like a sort of subversion of expectation, and not in the Neil Druckmann way, but like in the actual impactful way, where it's like you don't really see it coming, and then when it happens, it's not like an immediate oh shit moment. It's like a I don't know, and then something else happens, and it's like I wasn't expecting that at all, and then the pacing's like very deliberately askew, and things happen kind of irregularly.
If I played Octopath Traveler just playing as the dancer, then I would have been like, oh my god, I'm so excited for all the other characters. And then I don't want it to be a knock on it. It's just my preference is I didn't like almost any other story in the game.
Could the dancer have been her own game or her own like like
this
literally short story?
In all honesty, I feel
this.
like if the game was entirely based on that and it just had this massive open world content that you go off, obviously it wouldn't be Octopath Traveler, it would be its own thing. But I feel like
Traveler,
Monopath, but you just
Traveler.
Yeah, you just
Empath
stick
Traveler.
in place. You don't have any other directions to go. No, I don't know. I didn't get the same narrative quality with the other characters, so I've been jumping around finding other games, and I found that there for sure, and trying to do something similar with my own shit, but just learning the ropes.
Would you believe if that's the reason why I like Bloodborne more than Elden Ring is exactly that?
It's just
the narrative.
Yeah.
It's both premises are fantastic. I actually prefer Elden Ring's premise and its setup more, but in terms of delivery, I mean, there's only so much you can do to pace an open world game, right? So it's not to the fault of Elden Ring. It's only being the best at what it is. But because Bloodborne is linear enough, it can do so much more with its story. And the story, because it is not inherently bound to any sort of visual or audio, sticks longer in your mind because you're imagining all these things that are taking place outside of what you experience in the game. And I think really strong writing is able to allude to a universe that is outside the one you're experiencing. Whether it's real life, like how The Last of Us is technically set in like real life post-apocalyptic America, or if it's something completely fantastical like Hyper Light Drifter. I think that's a hallmark of really good writing, and I'm not going to speak for everyone here, but for me personally, when I try to do stuff either for this game, Lentinula, or for our previous projects, or even for my own stuff, I try to incorporate that to an extent.
Nice.
Yeah, just the illusion to a world that's bigger.
Jules just admitted that he enjoys Infanticide much better than whatever God Murder is.
I don't know. There's Regicide. Hold on a second. Is there not Infanticide in Elden Ring?
Not as prominent as in Bloodborne.
Because you kill Renala, she's cradling like I don't know if it's like a baby or like a fetus or something, but
yeah, it's deicide. Deicide is killing of a god.
No. Like there has to be some kind of listen. Elden Ring is such a total tangent, such a massive game. I just finished my last dungeon yesterday, which in any other conversation would be really weird, but the game's huge. I'm sure Infanticide happens, but I forgot. It's been the 150 hours. All right.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. There, I mean, which is interesting too, because with all these different kind of games and media I've been playing, consuming, there's some games that do last the whole 100 hours, and obviously you're not going to pick up everything, but like, or not everything's going to hit you. You're just going to think about the things that really stuck with you. But there's some games like straight up, you can almost remember every bit of it depending on how much you connected with it. I didn't connect that much with Elden Ring. I remember almost every bit of lore from fucking Dark Souls 1. Don't quiz me, but I remember every bit of lore. And Dark Souls 2 as well. That shit was amazing.
Every soul.
Yes, every single one.
Oh, you
I
like
remember
Dark Souls
every
so
single one I collected. But like in Persona 4, like all that different stuff, you can spend over 100 hours on each game, but sometimes like that quantity or density of the game is just not going to always stick with you.
I find that I spend the most amount of time in games that aren't necessarily large and have a lot of content, but games that have a very distinct, again, the allusion to a bigger world. Like I've played through The Last of Us 1 easily 7 times, maybe 8. I've played Hyper Light Drifter, which is like a very, it's pseudo open world, kind of like Legend of Zelda, where it's just open environments that are connected via like a hub world. I've accumulatively put in about 60, maybe 70 hours into what is typically a 12 to 20 hour game. Because of the writing, I obviously this is down to, preference, but I prefer having this framework for my imagination to fill in the gaps rather than a game saying, don't worry about trying to imagine what's beyond the fog. We're just going to show you, which I think is cool at first. Like, it's super cool when a game says, again, another Todd Howardism, you can see that mountain, you can go there. And then when you realize is like, the technology is not to the point where that's interesting yet. I have no doubt it will get there maybe even soon. Hell, maybe with AI and cloud technology. Topics, right? But so far, I think just good writing is really, it's enough to do a lot of things, including player retention.
If I could add something, I think the best narratives, whether it be video games, books, or any other sort of media, always has you wanting more, whether it's more from the lore, more from the world it comes from, or more as in like a sequel of whatever it is.
But not because of a shitty cliffhanger ending.
No, not because of that, but because
Right.
you just want to explore more outside of the of that world or of that lore. But the best authors and the best makers of those games know when stop showing you and just let you take over for your imagination. Because like, for example, Star Wars, this is just very generic idea. Star Wars has always been like an open-ended, like Old Republic is no longer canon, but like things could happen in that era of the universe where it's never going to be shown on film, but it exists out there because somebody's imagination was like, oh, because I've already have this baseline of the world, this could also happen. But since it's becoming corporate, then they're going to show you more and more and more, and it just takes away of the fantasy of it, because like you're oversaturated with every single thing that could be a possibility in that world being a possibility.
It's a key tenet that transcends any artistic and creative medium is restraint. One of the hardest things I had to learn when I was in school for, composition and audio production was restraint, knowing when to say, cool it on like the hi-hat or whatever. Because if you have everything at once, if everything stands out, then nothing stands out. Right? If you're so keen, and I'm speaking to Disney now, if you're so keen on showing us every single corner of a galaxy far, far away, ironically enough, we're no longer going to care. And it's because of Rojo, it's because of what you just said. Yeah. Chim, I know you, we have been going for a while. I'm good to wrap if you guys are.
Yeah, same.
All right. So just a little bit of what's the sitch, Jules? Glad you asked. So this podcast, we mentioned this previously. We'd like to try to run it bi-weekly, so about 2 times every month. And because of it's a mixture of people getting back into school and their jobs and finishing up school, and also the video game developing that we ended up taking a bit of a break. But same plan as before. About about twice a month. We're gonna shoot for that. Obviously, no promises because for the 3 people who are
Shit's
still
so
listening,
wacky.
you saw what happened. We turned into podcast beans edition. So I'm just gonna say the goal is about 2 times a month. And we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. I'll
Same.
see you guys when I see you, and audience. Bye bye.
Never stop looking for the beans.
God. Bye.
Find your inner being.